is the inner man universal, or do all of us have the same inner man?
Interesting point. In my opinion, no. Or better, we don't know that, and we never will know that before we try. So that is open question. Let us become the real Americans. Let us become the real Russians. Let us become the real Muslims. Let us become inner Chinese, who is Chinese, American, Russian, and Muslim, and we will see finally. Only at the end of this journey to our depth could be revealed is man universal or not. So I am in favor of multiplicity, plurality of designs. Maybe we will discover something universal, but we shouldn't start with such affirmation, just because when we start affirming that we know or universality of the human is taken for granted for us, that only means that we replace our American understanding of what is human with universal, or Russian, or European, or Muslim. And that is precisely globalization. That is precisely racism of the liberals, because the liberals think they are universal. But liberal values are universal. They are not. That is very important. So human rights are not universal, at least before we ask all type of society what they think about human, what they think about rights, and when we could compare and translate what they really have said about what they think about human, and not only big civilization, not only Chinese, Indian, Russian. We need to ask small tribes in Amazonian forests, what do you think? You are human. You are not the monkey. You are a real human. Please say us, what do you think about human rights? And we should explain and hear, not only speak, say, but hear what they will answer us. And only putting together and trying to recombine or compare, we could arrive to the real universal human right concept. Not when some group of Bill Gates and Soros affirm that they know what human rights are.
So is there a universal morality? For example, if we go to an Amazonian tribe and they believe that it's the right thing to kill everyone over the age of 45, for example, and that's how they live their lives and their cultures and whatnot, does that earn them a seat at the table for this discussion as to what human rights are, or what the individual experiences are, or what a universal morality is? There a universal morality, or is it all relative, just based on your civilization or your group or where you live or where you're from?
When we are not ready to speak with all human about what they think is moral, we could not pretend to universality. We are still in relativism, because if we don't feel ourselves ready enough to speak with some archaic peoples to discuss with them what is good and what is bad, so we just replace what we think is good and impose that in the colonial racist way on them. So there is no dialogue. So that is precisely what liberals say. So we conservative, we are in the position of these poor Amazonian tribe people. So they say, you believe in God, but that's prejudice. That is stupid. You shouldn't. You should believe in the progress and the technical development. You go to the church. Oh, how stupid it is. So you are underdeveloped white male cannibals, and you should be for the peace and the sake of them progress and of universality to be isolated from that. So they treat us exactly as we would like to treat Amazonian tribes. So from my opinion, we need to accept all humans with all their cultures to dialogue, not to imitate them immediately. For example, to eat our elders at the breakfast. It will be anti-Christian. That doesn't fit us. But if we say, oh, you are stupid pigs, murderers, criminals, you treat your elders or your children in that way, so we are in the position of liberals. So let us then to continue. We need to be clear and sincere in our principles. So I think we could arrive to the universality only by affirmation of our own particularity, of our church, our tradition, our roots, and by this way, closing more and more to the center, to the innermost core of our own identity, we could maybe arrive to the point to understand the deep identity of the other. Because judging from outside, it is not correct. So we need, but in order to judge from inside, we need to turn into the Indians or into the Russians or into the Chinese. So my idea that we need to overcome the racism in all its form. So we are different, cultures are different, people are different, identities are different, but we could not establish the real hierarchy among them, because that will be unjust. We just will put on the top our own identity. Oh, how good it is to be Russian, and all the Americans, all the Europeans, all the Muslims, all the Chinese are worse than us. That is racism that I hate in my own people, in my culture. So I think that racism has nothing to do with the legitimate defense of the deep identity. So I love my people. I consider and respect all the other people, but I could not affirm that our people is better than any other. It's my people. I will die for it, but I will defend its identity. But I could not say it's better. It is impossible to say. It's unscientific.
In a multipolar universe, in a multipolar world, is that not an inherently competitive world that then establishes a hierarchy? This is what I'm interested in. One angle is if you have multiple areas of influence, multiple civilizations respecting their inner selves, expressing their own values and identities and their own version of the sacred. If there's multiple of them existing, are they not in a competition? Are they not forming naturally a hierarchy? Do we not see this in nature as well?
I think that is a kind of open issue. For example, if we consider pre-Columbian world, that was multipolar world, pre-Columbian, with Chinese Empire, Indian state, Iranian Empire, Persian Empire, Arab Empire, Russian Empire, Turkish Empire after that, after Arabic, European Empire, and Aztec Empire, Incas Empire. So the people lived in these civilizations. Each of these civilizations represented the pole. Did they compete? Somehow, did they exterminate themselves? Not at all. War or peace was the role. Neither war nor peace. Combination. So competition, hierarchy, I don't think so. Because every Christians thought they were much higher than the rest, but the Chinese, on their part, they thought they are much higher than Indian or the European. So the hierarchy can be kind of ethnocentric illusion and has such status in that multipolarity. I don't think that when we are dealing with the diversity, that leads to extermination, war. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But when we are living in the liberal world, we have the war, we have the destruction, intervention, we have the humanitarian bombardment. We had last century 2 huge world war, precisely with democracy, liberalism. So I don't think that globalism save us from the destruction, from wars, but we need to put the peace and the war in the natural limits. So we should establish a kind of order of the respect of some rules based on power. So that is why each civilization should have some serious weapon in order to defend its sovereignty and independence.
So hierarchy based on power.
No, not the necessary hierarchy. Independence based on self-defense. Independence and sovereignty based on self-defense and not necessary hierarchy. For example, I don't think that civilization has these self-destructiveness inside of it. It could be hierarchy leads to some univocal submission of parts of the people and top position of the other. This hierarchy, whether it is based on the pure power, it is bad. But when a hierarchy is based on the hieros, on the sacredness, on the philosophical, metaphysical position, it's not necessary that it will lead to such physical operation or physical competition. So I think I'm in that sense Platonist. I think that philosophers should rule, and philosophers will understand better when it's time to go to war and when it's time to stop. And Plato gave us very beautiful example how important it is to combine philosopher and warrior, because warrior is self-destruction, and his will to establish hierarchy or competition is destruction. But philosopher is not enough. He is too good. Plato says he is too good. He is too kind. He will destroy its own society. Be with that kindness. So we need a mixture between serious intellectual philosopher and brave warrior. This combination is necessary to balance the peace and war, and to put the war in the just limits, and to revive the pure philosophical intellectuality with some passion, warrior passion. So we need to accept both the thinker and the warriors in the organic and balanced proportions.